welcome to this week in events for the September 19th. And this week we have the Dream Team,
We certainly do.
which is myself, Bob Tooby, and
Me, Jill Hawkins.
of Annecy PR.
Absolutely.
Good
Morning, Bob.
connection.
How you
Good.
doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. We looking out the window. Most episodes seem to start with a weather report. So looking out my window, we've got blue skies today. It's not
quite
raining,
nice.
which is nice.
It's going to be nice today. I've heard that the weather forecast is looking good. So,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then absolutely awful over the weekend.
yes. Well, it's the weekend, isn't it? And it is September, so hey.
Yeah, which is probably a good time to listen to all the past episodes of This Week in Events.
Exactly. When you're mooching around your house because you can't go outside, put the podcast on as you're doing your mooching and catch up with everything, all the good stuff that's come out of these podcasts over the last few weeks.
Oh, definitely, yes. So after a little bit of self-promotion, we got some good stories this week.
I think we have.
We have MIT Awards survey. We've got some London venues are getting some serious money. And of course, we've got yesterday was the Accessible Events Show, which I had the pleasure of attending.
Excellent. How was it?
It was good. Good. Plenty of sessions going on, networking afterwards. Plenty of little companies present to promote their wares, obviously, but also to showcase what they can do with accessibility. So that was cool. Like silent seminars.
Ah, excellent. Yeah, of course.
I've got a feeling that most people seem to just. Do people think that companies like silence seminars who provide the headphones and all that, do they ever think that it's only for noise reduction at an event so people don't hear the overpowering sound of a session going on? Or is it actually an accessibility thing where people who need extra volume because of hearing impairment need to have the headphones on so they can actually hear and concentrate better?
I think that's a really good point because when I've used them in the past, or certainly been involved in events that have used them, it's been it's been to stop the noise bleed into the surrounding areas so that you haven't got you often want the seminar sessions on the show floor so that people aren't disappearing off into halls and into other rooms and not coming back. But then you've got that sound bleed from the stages into the other areas that can then impact on the stands around. And they are fantastic for that. They feel really inclusive. And I hadn't considered that, of course, they'd be great for somebody that needs to just turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, the sound bleed is very relevant because some past shows there has been no carpeting, so it's like you're walking around a baseball court. There's all the
Yep.
markings on the floor, like a school gym.
And you've
You
got
know what I
that reverberation from the
Well,
sound, haven't you?
This is the thing. If you've got a
Yeah.
couple of sessions going on either side, the sound is bouncing off the floor, off the walls, maybe not so much the ceiling because of all the pipe work, but like Excel, the ceiling's just full of pipe work. But the sound is reverberating off the floor and the walls. So if you are hearing impaired and there's a lot of a lot of sound reflections going on. I don't know if reflections are a correct word, but reverberating
I
around
know
the
what you
place.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
bouncing off the walls.
Bouncing off the walls. So trying to actually isolate a particular sound or having a conversation with somebody with all that sound around you is really, really difficult.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something I've certainly noticed as I've got older, as I've got into my 50s. Your hearing naturally changes as you get older. You lose a certain part of it. And I've always been fine in, say, a busy pub where I've always been fine to actually hear the person in front of me and ignore the hubbub of the surrounding pub. Now I find it really hard to do that. So I think it's an age thing as well, that your hearing does deteriorate as you get to a certain age, as you get older. So it's more inclusive to the older people in the industry as well.
Yeah, I must say I've been to networking events and you're standing there and I found it starting to find it difficult to isolate the background noise from the person I'm speaking to,
Yeah.
especially if it's a a lower register. Female voices tend to be pitched a bit higher, and I could hear that so much better. Then you listen talking to a guy who's got quite a deep voice, and it just merges in with the background. And
I can't.
well, that's
Yeah.
enough of our ailments. I mean, we're not talking
But
about.
I do love the fact that we now have an event dedicated to event accessibility. That's fantastic.
Should before we get on to the MIT awards thing, should we just dive in a little bit more into accessibility?
I think so. I,
Okay, so it was a really good show. Plenty of sessions going on. There was a good mix of topics being discussed about accessibility. Um, thing is, I've looked through the website, I've talked to people, but I'm still a little unclear. It's not really standing out as to who the main audience was. Was it for the benefit of people in the event industry to be more aware of the issues? Or was it to reassure people with disabilities that we are becoming more aware?
oh, I bet they were probably trying to do both. Where it sounds, well, who were the exhibitors? Were they people like, as you say, silent seminars who can help? I got the impression it was to help organizers actually learn and be educated and be aware of the products, the services, the people out there that could, why they should make their events accessible. And this is how you do it. That's the impression I got from it.
I think you're right. There was a couple of exhibitors, I suppose you would call. Uh, Two or three of them actually providing sign language and interpretation services,
Brilliant.
which was really, really cool. And also the companies that do the audio to text for putting on screens. So yeah, it was assistive technologies and services.
And I think I saw some stats about, how many people in the UK live with some sort of disability. And as I was saying earlier, our daughter Lily is 25 and physically and mentally disabled, and we've taken her to events in the past. She's in a wheelchair. She needs a very high level of care, and has accessibility issues, obviously being in a wheelchair. But we've been to things like Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park. They were amazing, absolutely fantastic. I have to, just congratulate the organisers of Hyde Park, Winter Wonderland there, because the every single session that we booked on, we were greeted, we were taken through, this is where you can go. We were treated like royalty. It was amazing. She was even given the opportunity, which we didn't take up, of going on the ice in her chair. I'm like,
Wow.
whoa, I'm not doing that. I think I'd be really scared. But
It's
ice
bad enough
skating,
doing it with your own, being able to
exactly.
walk, but
I'd have
in a
had to cling
wheelchair.
onto the chair, really. But yeah, the fact that accessibility, that inclusivity was amazing. And the other one I'd like to shout out about is Shambhala Festival. We took her there a few years ago, and amazing. Absolutely, really inclusive, fantastic festival for taking somebody in a wheelchair. Just everything about it was just so easy.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah. And
brilliant.
so there are people out there doing really good things.
I think budgets are important because you need to perhaps change infrastructure a little bit, or you need some extra equipment. So I think that's probably a bit of a consideration, and whether any government legislation about what you have to provide by default, not as in, oh, aren't we good? We've done this, but you have to because the government legislation says you have to. So how much you abide by that as well. Yes,
I think with so many events, it's yes, you do need some budget, but it's just that bringing it in from day one, that thinking about it. And talking to people, what do our audience need? Do they need, I mean, with Shambhala, there were, you think of a muddy festival and a wheelchair, they don't really go together, do they? But they had trackway at all of the key places. So we always had a solid surface to be able to push her wheelchair. They had disabled toilets, not just in one place, but scattered throughout the festival that had a radar key. So that only people with the radar key could actually access them. So they were clean and they were big and they were just perfect for
oh,
her.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
a
really cool.
lot of thought had gone into it. And I think that's the
Yeah,
thing. It's the bringing it in from day one and thinking about it.
I'm really hoping that the show continue. It's surprisingly, we mentioned it last episode or the episode before that this show was happening, and we were going, "What? This is the first one? Has nobody ever
Mm,
thought of this before?" So that was quite surprising. But what I'm really looking forward to is the fact that in subsequent shows, and I hope it goes every year, that at the networking side of it, you can actually have a conversation with somebody who's got a disability in a sensitive and well thought out space
yes.
with the correct intentions to actually
Yes.
find out what people's true experiences are. We get a lot of news reports about, you know, this is what the experiences are and that. But I think for an event planner to talk to somebody with a disability and actually suddenly realize I've been doing it wrong for so long, but
Yeah.
I
That
thought I was doing it right. So I got some time with a guy with who was blind. Um, you could use, I think, corrector may be visually impaired, but that indicates that there is some sight.
yeah.
But this person had no sight. So he pointed out a few things to me that it suddenly becomes like, oh God, that's so what? Why didn't anybody think that clearly? I mean, that's obvious. So the event was held. There's nothing against the organisers, right? Because it's their first show, and not every. Yeah, there's going to be little tiny things.
Of
There's always
course.
little tiny things.
Yeah.
But he pointed out that because it's on the first floor, you have to use a lift. There wasn't a member of staff already from the venue or from the show to indicate that if you're going to the show itself, you need to take either the stairs, the escalator, or the lift. But there
Ah,
was a one of those signs, the A-frame signs outside the lift saying if you want to go to the show, go upstairs. Not very useful for a blind person.
no, no.
And
That's
I'm wondering how many other event people have gone, yeah, we're going to make sure everybody's inclusive. We'll put signs up.
and those signs don't work if you, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. But is it a case of, I think it does depend on who your audience is, doesn't it? You know, and whether you can you give special treatment? Do they people want special treatment? I don't know. You know, could you arrange to meet somebody in that if you knew someone was coming in that was visually impaired, could you arrange to meet them? Or actually, they don't want to bother you in that
Well,
respect. They'd rather
actually,
just
I
make
don't
their
think
own
it's even
way.
special treatment. It's you've got to walk in their shoes to some extent.
Mm,
You have to.
yep.
I know it's asking a lot to consider everything, and you can't keep everybody happy all the time. But if you're going to have, if you're going to have a show where you're welcoming people with disabilities, right? So how's the wheelchair access? Okay, we need to make sure there's a route through that uses ramps, preferably through the main entrance.
Yes,
Please
not
don't
through
do it
some
round the
dodgy
back.
side
Yeah,
entrance.
don't do it
Yeah.
round the goods lift round the back. And also, when it comes to the visual side, please don't color code because of color blindness.
Yes.
If you're
Yeah.
going to indicate where people to go, just put a body there because an A-frame with a sign saying this way, please doesn't help people who can't see it.
Yeah. Uh,
And there's
yeah.
there's some simple things that I think are easily overlooked. So it's not a big whinge. I mean, it's just hopefully this show will get people to think about what it's like to be in the
Yeah.
disabled person's position.
That customer journey,
Yeah.
that visitor journey, delegate journey. Yeah, absolutely.
So big shout out really and big thank you for doing this to Catherine Grenier, Orla Pearson, and Dr. Shani Dandra, the main organisers.
Brilliant.
Um, and it's nice to see HSBC getting involved, the lead sponsor, I believe.
That's fantastic, isn't it? They're putting,
Attendable was there, my clear text, and I say sign language specialist as well. Power Events was there,
oh, excellent.
and the Eventwell team.
Of, so they should. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Glad to see Helen and the team there. That's fantastic.
it was good. But yeah, I Eventwell was yeah, in place and doing their thing, supporting
Yeah.
it, which is really, really cool. So it's really because if you think about, I know we talked this in another episode, but accessibility is a very broad term. And you have to be specific what you mean. if you're going to make a venue accessible, do you mean that people with visual or hearing impairment can get in and out? Or are you talking about people in wheelchairs who need ramps? Accessibility can mean different things. I think people should be specific
Definitely.
about what they actually mean by that.
And you've got physical and you've got emotional, you've got um, mental there's all sorts, aren't there, that we tend to think of, or certainly perhaps 10 years ago, we thought of accessibility about whether it was wheelchair friendly or not. Now, as Helen at Eventwell will talk about, its accessibility for somebody that's neurodiverse, that is anxious, that's or lots of other um, awareness. It's great that there's so much more awareness about the other um, issues that people might actually have.
Well, this is the thing. Accessibility. Are we talking about physical wheelchair needs or people who have who can't stand up for a very long time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's all sorts of it's not always like wheelchair access. If you've
No,
got a condition where your back is killing you because of a medical condition, you can only stand up for a few moments at a time. So waiting in a queue probably is
yeah,
very uncomfortable.
yeah,
But accessibility also covers all the neurodiverse.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
again, if we're specific, people can make a choice whether they want to go to the event or not. If it's inclusive, but only for people who have visual or audio impairment, they might go, yeah, that's happy. But if it's not accessible for wheelchair users, they go, well, perhaps I won't go.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah,
choice is the main theme, really.
yeah. No, and it's great that we are talking about it, and I think it's fantastic that there's an event
But
now
why
focused on
now?
this.
Why is it taking so long to have this the very first show for accessibility in events?
It's interesting, isn't it? But then you could argue that perhaps other events, such as the meeting show or Confex, would have included accessibility as one of their themes and one of their areas, maybe. Not that,
I I
I
I
don't know.
I know. I don't want to call out any London venues for being either very good or very bad, but I mean, older the building, the more difficult it is to change the structure. I know there's an awful lot into it. It really,
Yeah,
really is.
yeah. But it's just some thought that goes into it, really. I mean, Victory Services Club in Marble Arch, they're a military members club and they have 64,000 members, of which many of them are, well, they're all ex-military or serving military. And so therefore you do have several people that have been injured during their service. They've got quite a high percentage of disabled people, and they have designed certain disabled rooms. They talked to their disabled members to work out, okay, we need a bed that is structured in this way, that's near to the wall, that's got the ramp, and they actually have 6 or 7 specifically designed rooms for their disabled guests, which I think is amazing.
It's the military is so much more sensitive to accessibility, neurodiversity, and I mean they get Redwell.
Yeah,
They know
yeah,
exactly why Redwell's there, and they use it, and they're not ashamed. They don't have any problem if they need to go and sit somewhere quiet. They will, which is
absolutely.
really really cool. So
Which is
yeah,
good, isn't it? No,
yeah,
well done to the team at the accessibility show.
absolutely. And I'm looking forward to next year's. Yeah, well, we're talking about venues again.
We do talk a lot about venues,
We do, but
but they're a key part in every event, though. You can't run an event really without a location, can you?
well, so you can't do it on Zoom.
Not if you want a good event.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. If you want a really good event, you're going to go somewhere.
You
All
do.
right. Since we have mentioned venues quite a lot before, let's just whiz through this bit.
Okay.
So I get the feeling that some London venues have quite a bit of money these days. So let's start with Olympus National Hall is receiving a 2 million upgrade.
Yes,
I
it
don't know what sort of
certainly
paint they're
is.
buying, but it sounds
Oh, it's the
expensive.
it's the roof. It's that
Oh,
glass
it's mainly the
roof.
roof. Okay.
Yeah, the glass roof has been replaced for the first time it's in however many years. But yeah, it's been fully replaced. It's taken a long time, and it's all part of the 1.3 billion. regeneration, redevelopment of Olympia. It's looking amazing. We need to get you down there, Bob, and actually have a look.
Well,
It's
we need to do an
stunning.
episode of this show on site.
Oh, absolutely. It's so exciting. You know, everyone has got a memory of Olympia. Everyone knows Olympia and the Grand Hall and the National Hall and walking in, the glass roof. You should see it now. It's looking stunning. It's just, I mean,
Oh wow.
the exhibition spaces are still being used. There's lots of events going on in those spaces, but the ICC will be ready next year. That's a purpose-built International Convention Centre. You've got a theatre, you've got a music hall. The spaces, you've got restaurants, you've got cafes. The spaces
Oh,
just
this
look so exciting.
sounds amazing. Definitely
Mm.
got to do something there.
Yeah,
That'd be.
we'll get you in there.
Thank you. Well, providing it's free coffee and biscuits. Could I have biscuits?
We can work the biscuits out.
Could I have a biscuits? Oh yeah, so I was at the Westminster Venue Collection showcase in the new space at Central Hall, Westminster.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. So when you go in the main entrance of Central Hall, you can go up the steps and further into the building, or you can turn right down two flights,
Oh, yep. I
and
know what you
it's
mean.
the I think it used to be the
It's a
coffee shop
cafe.
area,
Yes.
cafeteria kind of area.
Yep.
I think I went there a couple of years ago to have a coffee with somebody, so that was nice. But no, they've turned it into an event space. It's all beautifully bright, nice big space, and the venue, the showcase itself was pretty exciting.
That's really nice, and it's good to see all the. I think it's lovely to see venues coming together to co-promote each other. That you've got that, the Westminster Venue Collection is a lovely collection of venues right in the heart of the city. You've got some really nice ones there, and I think it's lovely when you see them all coming together like that.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
What
Yeah, it's a
what?
nice redeveloped space. I think the
Excellent.
collection's got 52 properties, I think, at the
Okay.
moment. But yeah, it's really, really good. It was a good event and it was nice, bright space. So I think event planners can really make use of it. It'll be exciting to see what happens.
Absolutely.
And of course, we can't not mention how the National Gallery is going to get a new wing because of this massive well, it's two people, organisations, not quite sure which, but two donations being made for totaling 375 million.
Wow. Wow, there are some art lovers out there, really, aren't there? That's amazing.
Well, now that the Sainsbury wing's open, and that's an amazing space.
Oh, I haven't been there. So
Oh,
I'll
you should. Maybe
have to have a look.
I'll have a word with the powers that be and see if we can get in there for do an episode in there.
Excellent.
Which means you will have to leave home.
I quite like leaving home.
Well, knowing where you live, yeah. There you go.
Oi.
Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Milton Keynes, but yeah, you don't live there by choice. But yeah, so it'd be nice to see what else they will be doing for events. What the kind if they're going to make any extra event spaces, and because that would be cool if they did.
Absolutely, you do wonder, don't you? And I love the fact, obviously, it's gone out to competition. So the galleries, they've launched an architectural competition for to get to to get somebody in to obviously design the new wing. So that will be interesting. And as you say, it's great to see investment. It's a really good sign to see investment in venues. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean these venues are historic venues because they're really old, really really old
yeah,
buildings. So yeah, well, just harking back to accessibility, I'm sure these venues have already got good accessibility. But if there's any way of actually using some of that money to improve the accessibility, not just from outside going in, but within the building itself.
yeah. And also sustainability in that, bringing that
Yeah.
into it in the developments. Have they been done in a sustainable way, using sustainable products in a sustainable fashion? That's more of a question than anything, because that's something that we need to think about now, that building techniques are very different now to how they were, and retrofitting an older venue can be challenging in that respect. And, I've worked with a number of
Yeah.
older venues in the past that have said, it's really hard to become as sustainable as a new eco build, built from scratch venue. So it'd be interesting to see what
Well,
happens
yeah,
there.
because some of these venues are listed buildings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of venues in London that are listed buildings. So the amount of changes you can make are very limited. So you
Or
have to
very
be
expensive.
extremely creative to get these
Yes,
things done. So
definitely.
so
Definitely.
yeah, so yeah, that's venues this week. That's fine.
Okay.
So we can skip on to this other thing. So it's all about AI and how people are viewing the
Yeah.
what
I
some say are opportunities. Some people think it's AI takes things away from human creativity. So,
I'm always interested in any industry research that goes out to people and asks them what they're actually doing, because there's a lot of experts out there saying that we're going to do this or we're going to do this, but actually talking to the people on the ground that are planning events, what are the things that are important to them? And I just liked that ahead of the M&IT Awards tonight, M&IT Magazine has gone out to ask the industry about the biggest opportunities and then what they'd like to see left behind in 2025. And the opportunities, as Bob said, 38% of respondents named advances in event tech, um, e.g., AI, automation, data-driven experiences, as the biggest opportunity at the moment. And my only worry with that is that as an industry, we do get attracted to the bright, shiny things, and people are seeing it as an opportunity, but I want to see how people are actually using it.
we the industry as a whole does get sidetracked by the new and shiny. I mean,
Yeah.
can we remember how excited everybody got over the metaverse,
Yep. And
augmented reality?
eye beacons, facial recognition, which you could still there's some
Well, I'm glad
possibility
facial
there,
recognition's gone away.
but facial recognition is basically racist, and there's all sorts of things like
Well,
that. So
and they've got a bit. They're a lot more reliable, but still not 100% reliable.
no,
I think scanning a badge is probably better than facial recognition because
you got to
it just
ask: Are you
is.
with facial recognition at events though? Are you using a sledgehammer to crack a nut? Why do you need facial recognition to pick up a badge when you can just, especially with the wallet passes and things like that, where you walk up to an event, it comes up, it pops up in your wallet to say, oh, you have a pass for this event. One click, you scan the code on your phone, you get a badge. Do you really need the issues with facial recognition to do that? No.
It will be cheaper to get one person to create 1,000 QR codes than it is to invest in facial recognition.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you've got the extra issues with the security of the data when it's personal information like that, when it's,
And some people go, I'm not going because of facial recognition. So you straight away you're going to put people off.
yeah, exactly. Why do you need it?
So we all
It's
need to say if there is any facial recognition, we all need to turn up with the fake glasses, moustache, the things you get at fancy dress shops, and we just all wear that.
the Groucho Marx one.
Yes, get the Groucho Marx kit from Amazon, and you just turn up at these events with, and they go, "Oh, it's the fifth time John Smith has come in." Yeah,
Yeah,
we all look the same.
it's interesting, isn't it? But
Yeah,
and then so I would like to see this repeated at the end of 2026 to see whether those opportunities turned into realities. The second biggest opportunity that people cited was the growth in international events and incentives, which I thought that's interesting that we're
is there
traveling
any
again.
is there any clarity on that? As in, is it considering what the political situations are around the world, when we talk about international events, are we including the US or is this in Europe?
Good
Uh,
point. I mean,
because because from what Excel has said in the past, I think we mentioned it 2 episodes ago, um, big increase in interest coming from North America. So
yeah,
when they say international, I mean,
everywhere but the States, probably.
Well, that's what I was thinking. But it'd be nice if there's a little bit of clarity on that.
I'll
But
have a look.
interesting nonetheless.
Yes, yeah. And then the third biggest opportunity was the creative use of venues. 15% were interested in that. And I thought that's interesting. That whole venue um, delegate and organizer triangle of working together to make the experience interesting and that creativity coming in that um, I would like to see that more explored in the industry, that relationship and that working together. Because obviously we, as we've said, venues are so important in an event and not just treating them as a box, but actually working together, working creatively to create an amazing event. I thought that was really positive.
Yeah, and considering how some venues are really struggling in the economic climate at the moment around the UK, being more creative and making sure they get used. And actually, again, I'm sounding like I'm droning on about this, but let's move out of London. Let's get some more venues used outside. Um, Again, last episode we talked about how it's a problem when we have tube strikes, bus strikes, overground strikes. London's susceptible to that sort of thing because of how important those services have become to citizens living in
Yeah.
this area or want to travel from abroad or from the rest of the UK into London for events. So it becomes quite
Perceptible.
that's the word. Thank you.
I think it's
So
tricky though, because London is our capital and it is an exciting, dynamic, vibrant city with a
but,
lot going on.
but
And
can't you say that about Birmingham or Manchester
you can, but
or
they're Birmingham or
Aberdeen or
Manchester.
Edinburgh? You know, there's other very fine venues. So let's support
There
them.
are.
And remember, there's life outside London.
There is. I think it's horses for courses. In that if you have a national event that you're bringing your delegates in from all over the UK, going somewhere like Birmingham or Stafford or somewhere more central definitely is a great idea. If you're bringing people in internationally to an airport, you might want a venue in a city near an airport, whether that's London or whether that's. I think, yeah, it's lovely to see that we we're still quite London centric, but then I think the UK is quite London centric. But
But if you're going to do a creative use of a venue, then maybe a
yes,
venue outside London allows you to be even more creative than you thought.
yeah, absolutely. That's very
Especially
true.
if you're trying to use a very old listed building and it's something you want to do and you just can't.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, creative use, brilliant. But let's remember there's venues outside London.
Um,
Um,
and then the the last of the biggest opportunities. So 13% of people were um, enthused by this one. The return of long-term planning and bigger budgets. So only is that a double-edged sword there in a way? Is that it's only 13% we're seeing long-term planning and bigger budgets as a exciting thing. So does that mean that the 70, where are we? 80, my maths, the other 87% aren't seeing long-term planning or just aren't seeing long-term planning. And I'm hearing this all the time. And this is where things that people would be happy to leave behind, budget uncertainty and last minute planning.
if you see that from a business point of view, everybody's up against shorter lead times and smaller budgets.
Yep,
So that's a reaction to that.
yep.
It really
And
is.
it's it's happening a lot. I was talking to somebody the other day who was saying that just budgets are just, delegates and organizers are demanding the wow factor in events. They want something that really resonates with the audience, that gets people out of the offices, that gets people out of their homes. We're only meeting once or twice a year, say, so it's got to be wow. But can you create a wow experience on this tiny, tiny budget we've got? So there's a real discrepancy between the budget and the wow factor that's expected, and it's suppliers that are expected to pick up the slack and deliver an amazing event on a tiny budget.
Yeah.
We're
There,
seeing this.
there was an interesting thing was mentioned at the Accessible Event Show yesterday from somebody I was talking to. Again, it's only a opinion of this person. It's not a view of the industry as a whole, but sometimes the client will wait a while before signing off, so hence a shorter lead time.
Mm.
But the reason for that is because they're trying to squeeze the services that they're using to offer a better rate.
By doing last minute. But oh, any of the suppliers I've ever worked with would always say, you'll get a better deal if you come to us as early as possible, but give us your budget, let us work with you and have the time to tailor things. Because isn't there sort of, you can either have good, fast, or cheap, pick two. You can't have all three.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah.
Y-
But the
y-
thing is, if you, it's all to do with education, isn't it? If you've got a
Mm,
client who simply wants to sell more, or is looking to provide a situation where they can really sort of chat up and flirt with potential clients, right? But they're going to see bang for buck. So they don't know what it takes to put on a really good event that would do what they want. So in their heads, they're going, yeah, let's squeeze them, without
yep.
realizing that if they leave it too long, they're not
It's
going to have an event.
I think that's where the managing upwards or, making sure that the budget holders within a corporate company understand the intricacies of event management. And that's a whole nother sort of kettle of fish,
That
isn't
is,
it? That
it's
respect and
maybe the industry itself is not very good at setting expectations. Don't
yep.
know. I'd love to have some feedback on that and how people feel. So please get in touch so we can talk about it. But yeah, I've got a feeling that this sometimes expectations are not set correctly. So some clients could be unreasonable in their timing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've had a venue client of mine say, yeah, we got an RFP in yesterday for an event today. What? 1 day notice. They'd been let down by another venue. It wasn't it, and actually the venue couldn't do it. Um, but they did just sort of, yeah, can we do something tomorrow?
Well, considering if it's a very big hall and you need to put out 1,000 chairs, I mean, how long do you think that
Yeah,
takes?
even just getting food in. They're not just going to have that food sitting around. You need to make those orders, and you can order food in, but it's going to cost more because you're talking about um fast tracking things in, aren't you?
Oh, can you
So
imagine saying, well, it'll take us 3 days to do in-house catering, but if you want it for tomorrow, we'll just give Burger King a call.
yeah, we'll get McDonald's Deliveroo.
Or just lots and lots of pizzas.
I'd be
Ah,
happy with that.
can you imagine 1,000 motorbike deliveries coming up, with all each having like 3 or 4 pizzas each? I mean, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
That could be interesting.
So what do people want to leave behind in 2025 other than pizza deliveries at venues?
Pizza deliveries. The As I said, the clear winner was budget uncertainty and last minute planning. So that's been a big thing for this year, and that's what they want to leave behind. Second thing was shortages, she says, getting my teeth in. Talent shortages and burnout. So burnout is still a big thing. I mean, it's the events industry. We're a stressful industry, aren't we?
Actually,
Uh,
a lot of I know within hospitality that's big at the moment because of limited resources
yeah,
and
yeah,
employers trying to sort of balance um, national insurance increases, staff wages. It's a
absolutely.
big thing. So burnout is across the broad term of the event industry.
Yeah. And I think we're also to our something that makes a really good event planner is their being conscientious, their attention to detail. But unfortunately, that can mean that because of that attention to detail, they want everything to be perfect, of course, and then that can lead to burnout in those sorts of people, I believe. That's what I've read before. That
Well, there's again based on conversations I've had, so it's limited experience, so I wouldn't call it a comprehensive survey, but it's to do with how the event agency or company who's organising the event planning agency. So we know that you sort of like start at 7 or 8 in the morning and you probably work to 7 or 8 at night, and you'll do that intensively for a week or so to get everything ready for the show. Once the show's happening, you can relax and step back a little bit. But if you're trying to keep the cash flow, you might then do another show straight afterwards and another one
yeah,
after that. So you have these bursts of intense work with only a day or two between each one, of
Very
course you're
true.
going to have burnout.
Yeah, you cannot sustain that. It's just not sustainable, is it? You can't
It's
work
not.
at 120%
But
constantly.
then with smaller budgets, it's not as though you can actually employ more staff to help spread the workload out. So it
It's,
becomes so much of a juggling act to keep
yeah,
everything in balance. It must be really difficult for them. So anybody who's doing it, well done,
yeah. And
really.
yeah, it's a tricky world out there. And then the last thing that people wanted to leave behind, the other issues that they asked about that basically all came in at 11% as a total: virtual fatigue, so getting offline, being fed up with LinkedIn, all the social media and virtual meetings and everything like that, supply chain challenges, and tick box sustainability. So I thought that's an interesting one.
Well, tick box sustainability. I mean, oh, excuse me. I mean, that's been going on for a long time. Everybody talks about accessibility, but it's only a small core of companies who are actually doing anything about it.
Actually doing it.
I
Yeah.
think Green Gauge does an amazing job. They really push it out there, and they're recognizing people and leveling up the standards and what people are doing with their awards and certifications. So at least somebody's doing something.
Yeah. The Green Meetings accreditation that the MIA promote, I think is amazing. I've seen some venues go through that, and the criteria, the robustness, and Green Gauge is brilliant, and also the Green Meetings. They're the two that I've seen that have been really
Yeah.
robust.
Yeah. If anybody's got any, if you're listening to this and you think, oh no, there's so many more people doing this, then please tell us.
Yeah,
Because if we can
absolutely.
spread the good word of the companies and the people doing good work with sustainability, then let's mention them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
That
And
was it. That
supply.
was,
Oh yeah,
oh,
okay.
sorry.
I was going to talk. Just mention supply
Supply chain.
challenges again. That's another thorny issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and again with budgets, that whole thing of, as we were talking about earlier, that thing of everyone wants the amazing event, the amazing delegate experience, that fantastic venue. So we're going to book those, and then we've got £2.50 per head for catering. We've got 50p per head for badging. We've got, it's all those other bits that then get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah.
dregs of the budget, and it's a shame,
Well,
that.
again, supply chain challenges. It's just not financial. But if you've got a client who's going, maybe I'll sign tomorrow, maybe I won't. I'm thinking about it. And as we mentioned earlier, I mean, as soon as they sign off and it's the next day that's happening, your supply chain challenge is, can we get all the badges here within 8 hours? Can we get all the seating out within 12 hours?
Yeah.
It's a knock on and every company gets affected. And then if a company says, yeah, we'll do it, but they've only just finished doing another event, then you've got
Yep.
stress on their staff.
Yep.
It's a bit of a mess.
It really is. And that whole knock-on thing with the stress, that we've been very good over the last 10 years of acknowledging that an event planner is a very stressful job. Hence, we've seen the rise of things like Eventwell and Stress Matters, those sorts of organizations that are there to help educate people onto how not to be, how to cope with things better, whether you're at an event or in the planning of an event. And then people come along and cut the lead times by a couple of weeks. Brilliant. So on one hand, we've got all of this great work being, acknowledging that we need to do something about burnout and stress. On the other hand, we're going, yeah, we think that, yeah, we don't want you to get stressed, but can you deliver this event? You did it in 4 weeks last year. You've got 2 weeks this year.
You've done it. You've done this before, so instead of 4 weeks, you could probably do it in three, couldn't
Yeah, you can
you?
do it in two days. There you go.
Yes, I'll name that event in one.
Yeah. So it's a real
Yeah,
disconnect, and that's
it,
frustrating. It's a real disconnect at the
it
moment.
is. I think again, I think it comes down to educating people what it actually takes to put on an event.
Yep. Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't. It's not something that you just open a box and it sort of like leaps out and
Yeah.
whoosh, it's there. You
People are
know.
always really surprised when, I've been approached before about doing PR for an exhibition with 3 months to go. And I've laughed and said, no, sorry. For a launch exhibition, you need to be 18 months out to actually start working on a show.
We're going to talk about that at some point because the whole thing is, as you say, they go, okay, so the event's in about 2 months' time. Should we start telling people? Do you think we should mention it somewhere?
Exactly.
And then they might ask, when should we start?
Is
Well, when was your
well,
last one? Well, that's a year ago. Right. You should have started mentioning this one
at that
about
show.
about a month or so before the last one took off,
Exactly.
and you don't stop talking about it. I mean, the whole chain of social media posts, PR, press releases, and it just goes on and on.
But
Don't
yeah,
leave the last minute. And and and
exactly. There's
and
only so
take
much you can do last minute.
I know. And because of the amount of pressure that PR people have to deal with, please be nice to them. I've docked a PR person today.
Bring us a coffee every now and again.
Yeah. Oh, you seen the adverts for like look for like sponsor an animal at a zoo? Yeah. Would
Sponsor a
you
PR
like would
person.
you like to sponsor? All you have to do is just take round a coffee and a packet of biscuits, and you can help a PR person survive.
Or help an event planner. Yes,
Yeah,
event planners need more help, I think. They're the ones
yeah.
under far more stress than us.
Well,
So
yeah.
we
Or please remember that these podcasts need your support. Please bring coffee, biscuits, and food vouchers.
food vouchers.
Food vouchers, luncheon vouchers. There we go.
Luncheon. God, do they still exist?
I've no idea.
I don't think they do.
I'm so old, I remember luncheon
Luncheon
vouchers.
vouchers.
There's
Yeah,
going to be young people listening to this going,
what on
What's,
earth?
what are you talking about?
And on that note,
Yes, because we're so old now, we need to go back to bed and just put our feet up and just rest with biscuits and coffee.
yeah, yep. I'm gonna sort of go for a wee and have a coffee. That's it.
Yeah, okay, so we can talk about toiletry habits if you like. I mean, I do need to go myself, and we had a little conversation before we hit the record button about going out shopping. Where do you go shopping? Whatever supermarket has toilets.
You need them. Yep. That's the thing. And that, oh, don't get me on that. That's my gripe about the events industry not being very ageist. So that's one of my gripes, which we'll get into at some other point. But we have to consider that as people get older, their needs and their habits and their requirements change a little bit.
Yeah, you know how there's a special place where actors who have retired can go and live. You know that I can't remember what it's called.
No,
Like there's a lot of famous TV actors and celebrity actors and film. There's a place that they can go and live and be together and see that. I can't
I'm
remember the
looking
name of the
totally
place.
confused. Is this a real place? This is a
Yeah,
like retirement village type
it's a
thing.
retirement place where actors and
You get
actresses
all
and
the ex
stuff.
Hollyoaks and EastEnders people there.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'd be allowed in. I mean,
Or are you talking
EastEnders.
about proper Hollywood people?
I think it's UK actors and
Oh,
actresses. I can't remember. There's a place they go. I'm just wondering if there's a place like that for ex-PR, ex-event people. They're in their 90s. They can go and talk, reminisce about,
reminisce about the good old days when we had budgets. Remember those days?
budgets.
Remember
Yeah.
those days when we had 6 week lead time for an event? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure whether you would rejoice at enjoying the knowledge of these people or whether you just feel a bit depressed afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I
would.
think we got to stop talking about toilets and old people.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thanks, Bob.
Anyway, that was a fun episode. So thank you for your time, Joe.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, always a delight to chat
It
nonsense
is
with you.
good. I enjoy these. Anyway, so if anybody has got any views about uh, topics discussed, is there something we missed? Did we get something wrong? But more importantly, what did we get right?
Excellent.
And if you could do us a favor, dear listener, share this episode on any social media channel you choose. That would be really nice if you did.
Excellent. Thanks, Bob.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. Until next time.
And cut.
This Week in Events is a production for the EPN Journal podcast. Huge thanks to our patrons, partners and industry friends for helping to make this possible. Details of how you can be a patron are in the show notes and on the EPN Journal website. Thanks for listening.